Hi, I'm Mark, head of blockchain at BitClave. In this video, I would like to describe few new things we are working on these days. You are all familiar with BitClave's product, MatchICO and DSearch, but today I'll present progress we are making with the Base platform itself. To remind you, Base is an ecosystem where user has full control over his data. User decides what data and to whom he is willing to share. In Base, all user data is stored in an encrypted way, and only user has the encryption keys. When user wants to allow some third party to access his data, user will securely share the decryption key with that third party. Without user's approval, no one can get access to his data, even not BitClave. User is the key player in Base ecosystem. The other key player in Base is business. Business is interested in selling his products or services. When user searches for product or service, businesses will respond to the user with custom offers based on the personal information that the user decided to share. Business is able to target more valuable customers with more attractive offers. And business will determine the value of the customer to himself based on the personal information that user decided to share. In addition to user and business, there are many service providers in Base, like search engines, analytic engines, KYC providers, or full applications like DSearch or MatchICO. The main goal of these providers is to facilitate business transactions between business and user and get reward for the value they provide to Base ecosystem. But the main player in Base is still the user. So we'll start with Base Vault. This is the user's portal into Base ecosystem. In Base, user is the main player, so we will start with Base Vault. This is the main application for user to manage his personal data in Base. To log in, user will enter his secret seed phrase. Remember, in Base, all your personal information is encrypted, and Vault will use the secret phrase to generate keys for encryption and will send only encrypted information to network. To protect your data, you have to keep your seed phrase secured and never share it with anyone. So to log in, we'll enter the secret phrase like this. And once we log in, we get to a dashboard. For new user, this is empty dashboard where only karma is shown. Karma is a simple number that represents if a user is a good citizen in Base. If user's action bring value to business, his karma will go up. And if user only collects the offered benefits, then his karma will go down. From obvious reasons, businesses would prefer to interact with users that have a higher karma. And they can do that by using karma when they define target audience for their offers. So the higher the karma, the better the offer to the user. For new user, karma is set to 0. Now let's see what user can do in Vault. Okay, now let's see what we have here. You are a new user. You came to Base because you like the idea that your personal data has enormous value and you want to get some benefit when someone is using it. And this, of course, after your consent. But you are a new user in Base. Base doesn't know your interest, so it is impossible for business to prepare a targeted offer for you. So how we solve this problem? Likely, with GDPR, companies are required to let you know what data they collected about you. And remember, this is your data, so you can do whatever you want with it. So you can take this data and import it into Base. Let's see how this is done. I'm showing now how to import your search history from Google. Google provided a tool to export your data, and I'll show how to import this into Base. This file I downloaded from Google, and now I'm loading this to Base. Okay, so I loaded my search history, and it is stored encrypted in Base. Now what? It is all encrypted. No one can understand what it is without your permission. And even if you grant access to this search data to some business, it will be very hard for business to figure out how to target you. So we need someone that will process your search history and build a digital profile of your interest. So we are working on a service called Digital Twin that is doing exactly that. When we click Analyze, we get a pop-up screen asking you to provide access to this service. So this service will analyze your search history and will build a digital profile. You have full control what data you share with this service. So you can decide and share Google search history, but not to share YouTube search history. Okay, so we allow access, confirm, and here it is. Digital Twin classified you as crypto investor, and now business could target you with offers related to investment in crypto. This information would be very useful, for example, to projects in our Match ICO product. Right now, we are working on classification within crypto domain, and here are a few sample categories that we have. Okay, so this was an experience for new user. Now let's see what else we have involved. I'll log in now as a returning user that have built more personal data involved. Let's see. Okay, I'm entering seed phrase for the returning user. And now you see that the dashboard has much more information. Let's go over the new elements that we see. Here we have a section with your crypto wallets. You can see your CAT balance, your CAT transaction history, and your overall balance in crypto. And here is the place where you manage your wallets. Obviously, your CAT wallet is defined here, and you can also add your other wallets. These wallets can be used to compute your crypto wealth. We will initially support Ethereum ERC20 tokens and Bitcoin for wealth calculation. Similar to Digital Twin, we have Crypto Wealth. This is a service that will analyze the raw data and will generate data that is useful for targeting. In case of Crypto Wealth, the raw data is your wallet addresses. Now I want to dive a little deeper into this concept of services and what value they bring. In base, services are some software component developed by BitClave or by third parties, and these components can do some useful things. And you as a user decide what services you find useful, and you decide if you want to subscribe for this service or not. You can manage your subscriptions here. We see that this user subscribed to Digital Twin and Crypto Wealth service, but this user did not subscribe to KYC service. This user decided that he wants business to be able to target him by his interest and by his wealth. But he does not want to use KYC service because he prefers to stay completely anonymous. He does not care about businesses that would target their audience by personal information. The important point here is that the user and the business are in complete control. User decides what data he shares, and business decides what data it wants to use for targeting. If there is a match, great. If not, also great. It's open marketplace. Okay, now let's go a little deeper into controls that user has in sharing his data. Here user can clearly see what data access he granted and to what players. We see that this user allowed Digital Twin to access his search history, and the user allowed Crypto Search to access his crypto wallets. To this search, user granted access to CAT wallet so he can receive rewards. This one is obvious. But check here. User allowed this search to access only the wallet balance and his interest. This is anonymous information. It means that while this search knows user's crypto wealth, this search does not know the actual user's wallet addresses. So this search is not able to trace the transactions on blockchain and learn things that user does not want to share. Okay, so we saw what user can do in Vault and how he can manage his data. Now let's see how user can benefit from his personal data. And we are going to DSearch now. DSearch is Bitclave's product. It is a search engine that is optimized for searches in crypto domain. For example, when you enter CAT in DSearch, you get information about CAT token, which includes, for example, a token price graph. And if you were to search for CAT in a traditional search engine, you would get thousands of pictures of cats. In another example, when you enter BitClave, you also get more structured information about BitClave company presented in a nice way. So this was a brief introduction of DSearch for people who are not familiar with it yet. Now I would like to demonstrate how DSearch can optimize search results based on the personal data of the user. What we see now are search results for the user that is not logged in into Base. Now I'll log in as a user, the user that was classified by Digital Twin as an investor. And now I see here a targeted offer. Since this user was classified as investor and this information is available in Base, DSearch found an offer in Base that is relevant to both search query and personal interest of the user. So now, me as a user can see the offer that is relevant to me, and I can follow the link, engage with the offer, and receive the reward. And this specific offer is by BitClave, and it is offering a reward if you refer a friend to BitClave's Match SEO product. Now let's log out, and you see the offer disappeared again. And now let's search for BitClave mining, for example. Again, we get some search results. And now let's log in as another user. Let's log in as a user that was classified as both developer and miner. This is how this user would look like in Vault. You see here the classification by digital twin. We'll take this user's seed phrase and log in DSearch. And now we see two new offers. One offer is BitClave. This offer was selected by DSearch, again, based on search context and personal interest. DSearch recognized this user as a developer, so it picked an offer that is very relevant to developers interested in BitClave. In this offer, we call developers to join our developer program and participate in a contest for best application built on top of Base. The other offer is from a mining company. It is also based on search context and personal interest, and it is about mining equipment. While you cannot mine BitClave's token, since it looks like this user is very interested in mining, DSearch shows an offer for Bitcoin miner, which is a more suitable currency for mining. Okay, let's summarize what we saw. We start with Base Vault, a place where a user manages his data, including content permission. Here I'd like to emphasize again that in Base, no one has access to your data unless you approve it. We saw this very clearly in service and permissions, where a user had to grant explicit access to every service and every piece of data. We saw DSearch and how it is using data from Base to customize the offers to user. And by the way, please note, these capabilities are still under development, but we still wanted to share with you our progress and get your feedback. Hopefully this explanation was useful and the direction that we take with Base development is more clear now. Let us know if you have any ideas for improvement and what new services you would like to add. And if you're a developer, we definitely welcome you to join us and develop your own services so together we can bring data back to the user. We are launching a developer program. You can find more details about it on our website, so come and join us.